Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Amanda, and in this video we're going to have a look at simple mindset shifts that we can be making through our personal development journey, and obviously becoming this new person who identifies with new beliefs and is manifesting particular outcomes in our reality. So I'm doing a few videos on this as I want to dive deeper into connection, communication, and relationships. And I thought I would start off with identifying definitions and beliefs and use an example of what I mean. Now, I do have a few videos on this, but however, if you have any suggestions, I am always open to them. You can comment down below, or you can or you can email me at manifestwithamanda@gmail.com. So with that being said, let's talk about these mindset shifts. So when we are actually going through mindset shifts, we know that we are identifying limiting beliefs because these beliefs that we have cultivated throughout our life have come from experiences and patterns that we may have experienced because of how we chose to identify in those moments when we actually experienced what it was that we went through. Now, I don't want to discredit what anyone goes through because we're all human. We're here experiencing life and we all go through things. And I know exactly how it is to go through something that is undesirable, but I also know exactly how it is to overcome it and to identify with new beliefs. And when we actually understand that, all of these memories that we have are actually just that, they're just a memory, and the only reason why we may have been traumatized by them is because we chose to identify with the definition of what that memory was. So for example, rejection. When we look at the definition of rejection, and I'm using this as an example because usually this is a potent one in every area of our life, because when we are coming from that rejection kind of definition mode, we will see it in our, not just our relationships, but we'll be seeing it in our careers and what money we want and all of these type of things that we are creating in our reality. So when we look at the definition of rejection, we are actually, when we are looking then at the memory, when you look at whatever it is that you have gone through in your life, the memory that you have gone through, you will find that the mind actually, what it does is when it knows the definition of what it is that you've gone through, like rejection, for example, it actually creates the experience to be 50 times worse even than what it actually was. Now, again, I'm not discrediting what anyone goes through. I'm just using this as an example. So if it resonates with you, you can keep watching. If not, then, if it's triggering you, then you don't have to watch this. But I want to talk about why it seems that it can be worse than what it was. So, for example, the reason why we maybe dwell on a memory that may have happened is because we know the definition of it, yes, but because we know the definition of what it was for that to happen, we start to blame ourselves. We start to think that there's something wrong with us. We start to identify as this person who is rejected because not only do we know the definition of it, we know how it feels because our body holds on to the emotions of it. And because we know how it feels, our mind automatically starts looking for more ways for us to understand what has happened. But because we are feeling it in that way and we are trying to understand the way that things have gone, we actually allow our mind to go down all the negative routes, and we build up this whole mountain of what it means to be rejected and what it meant for this actual experience. Meaning that when we look back at the memory, and I know that we go through things that are traumatizing, but when we look back at the memory of it, sometimes we don't even have the whole full picture if it's years and years and years ago, but we will know how it felt. And when we know how it felt, we start to know that it didn't feel good, it didn't resonate with us. And so we go back into the definition of rejection and we start to cultivate this whole belief then within us which inevitably causes us to show up then in that way, because your beliefs and your thoughts create. And so when we do that, then that is kind of what we start to attract. And then maybe another experience will come up that will be similar, let's say for relationships, for example, and then before you know it, you have this kind of pattern. So the reason why I want to bring this up is because it's a great way to kind of look at it, because then we can come back into our power, because we know that the only reason why this has created again is because of memory. It's because I continued to think about this memory in a way that was not desirable for me. I continued to identify with the idea on definition of rejection, and then I cultivated this belief within me, because the more we persist on something, the more we start to believe it, and then we start to become it, and then if we experience it, then that inevitably causes us to believe it even more. So the way then that we do this is to understand that anytime we identify something, we actually let go of it. The moment we identify it is great, because when we identify it, it means that we know now that we desire something else, and we know now that we don't desire this pattern, so we are going to create something else. So that means then once we do that, we know that we can look at different definitions that imply that we are always accepted, that we always get what we want, that everything comes to us, and that we live in this abundant reality. So I'm going to use an example here of needy versus being needed. So when we look at the example of neediness, we are looking at the definition of being clingy, of not having enough, of lack, of being deprived of always being in want, always being in desire, always never actually getting exactly what it is that we want. We're in all of these kind of low states of being, because we know the definition of what it means to be needy. Now, I do know that there's a lot of stuff going on online about neediness when it comes to relationships, and when we look at it from this perspective, we want to understand that all of these things that are online, there's like a negative connotation to these kind of terms, and this is how we actually cultivate the anxiety then within us, because we start to feel negative about ourselves for even feeling this way, feeling this lack and clingy way of being. And I want to put the message out there that it's okay to have experiences like this in your life. I mean, we're all living here and wanting to experience life, and so there's going to be times that we are going to experience a definition that is undesirable, so that we know that we can experience the definition that is desirable, being needed. So understand that when we identify if we are anyone who has been clingy or anything in nature toward anything, not just a relationship, toward careers or money or anything, always having that kind of anxious attachment style where you're afraid you're going to lose it, or you're afraid that if you speak up or have boundaries or all of these things in any area of your life, that you're afraid that you're going to lose whatever it is that you hold on to so dearly. Now, the reason why we may develop these ways of being as well too is it comes from our past and our childhood and all of those type of things. But once we identify it, we don't have to go on a whole healing journey to heal it. We know that it's there, we can identify it, and rather than allowing our mind to succumb to it, we can say, okay, well, maybe I'm feeling needy right now in this particular area, so you know what, I'm gonna not focus on that right now. I'm gonna let that go, and I'm gonna just focus on something else where I know I feel a bit more secure in, and I know I feel a bit more grounded in. And the more that we redirect our thoughts and our feelings into the groundedness and the security and the peace within ourselves, the more it becomes easier to overcome it, even without going down a healing journey. Now, obviously, we do want to change our beliefs, because if we're changing our beliefs, we're changing the definition from being needy to being needed. And the definition of being needed means that you are someone who is valued, you're important, you are someone who is essential to this life, you are essential to the way the world is, because without you, the whole cosmic universe would not exist. And when we start to look at it in this way, and we start to see ourselves as more valuable, we start to see ourselves as more important, we start to become more stronger and more secure within ourselves. And as we start to do that, our behaviors change. When we know that we are needed, rather than feeling that we are coming from a place of neediness, we are knowing then when we are needed, we have opportunities. There are always options. We are opulent. It's abundant mindset. And when we look at the definitions, they're very similar in ways of being. So when we look at needy there, for example, needy, like, it implies lack and deprived of and wanting that, but shifting your mindset from needy to being needed is a simple way to remember during the day as well too. So during the day, if you are thinking about your definitions, you say to yourself, okay, am I feeling a little anxious right here? What is going on? And that is you identifying maybe that needy kind of feeling there. And then you start going into the reasons why you are important, why you are valuable, why your existence matters, and all of these type of things. And you start to see the opportunities, you start to see the abundance. And all of this, when we look at opportunity, we see opulence. Like, our words and our beliefs are very, very similar in nature, and it's us that actually tends to identify with the negative, probably because of the way we have been ingrained through society. But when we look at the definitions and the words, that's all they are, and what we choose to hold on to is what inevitably continues to create our experiences. So if we go down the path of being needed, someone that is needed, you're somebody that is desired, you're somebody that is wanted because you are needed, you're of value. And as you begin to embody this person and you become this person, it actually becomes so much easier to even fall in love and to surrender to love, because you are trusting more, because you know your importance, and you know that because you are needed, that that if everything was gone in the morning, it doesn't really matter, because you know that because you're a needed person in society, it's all going to figure itself out, and that the money will continue to come in. If relationships didn't last or whatever, it's not that you are focused on anything to do with that, because you know that there are options, that you know that you can give yourself fully to someone, and that if it didn't work out, it's not like, I mean, obviously it's not desirable, but you know that you're always going to be okay because you're a needed person in society, if that makes sense. And so I know that this is a development process, it's a growth process, and I know that we can develop ourselves through affirmations, and we do this every day when we are doing our affirmations or listening to them at night, or techniques, or anything that we are doing to become this person internally. But give yourself a break and understand that this growth process, the term is in the word growth. It doesn't happen overnight. It means that if we are someone who really went through traumatic experiences, and we've always felt that needy kind of feeling within us, that clinginess and that lack, it's going to take a little bit of growth to pull ourselves through into being this person that is needed. Because we, as I say, we can say these affirmations, and we can continue to do our techniques, but if we don't continue to embody this person, understand that that it might take a little bit of time, not like, I mean, it doesn't take all that long, it can take maybe a few months if you are someone who went through truly traumatic experiences. I mean, it's a lifestyle change, and it's to understand that you want to give yourself a break and pat yourself on the back and know that you're doing a great job along the way. You're growing, you're developing, your mindset is getting better every single day, and to congratulate yourself every single day, even just if you get out of bed in the morning, and that's like a big thing for you and your mindset right now. So understand these things. They're just definitions. I don't want to discredit what anyone is going through, but when we hold on to memories of the past, we are only going to start recreating them in the future, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says. So we want to come into the present moment. We want to identify the past and let it go, and just step into this new definition of what it means to be the person that is needed, for example, rather than needy. So I thought I would make a video on that, and I will chat to you soon.